everyone, welcome to the series where we celebrate Native Americans and their heritage here in Iowa and Nebraska. Today you're going to find me with Trisha Ettringer, who is the Director of Operations for the Great Plains Action Society. Thank you for being with me.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
Trisha, could you please share with us your pronouns?
Yes, I take she, her, and hers.
Thank you. And before we move along with our interview, I'd like to acknowledge the original peoples of these lands with a land acknowledgement. The True Upward Bound at Western Iowa Tech Community College services middle and high school students throughout Northwest Iowa and Northeastern Nebraska. The mission of the Upward Bound program is to provide access to higher education to those students with economic and generational barriers. To achieve our mission, we must honor, protect, celebrate, and acknowledge the stolen land that we are on and the community members who are native to these lands. Which is, I will acknowledge the peoples who are indigenous to this land and the tribes and nations who were displaced and moved to reservations near us today. The land that we're acknowledging is the Western Iowa Tech Community College service area, which is encompassed by Sioux City, Lamars, Iowa, Cherokee, Mapleton, and Denison. These are the land cessions of 410, 315, 265, and 151. Additional service areas via Upward Bound are Hinton, Iowa, Homer, Nebraska, Lawton, Onawa, Sloan, and Whiting, Iowa. Current reservations near the Western Iowa Tech service area are the Omaha Reservation, the Ponca Trust Land, the Ho-Chunk Reservation and Off-Reservation Trust Land, the Oceti-Sakowee, the Yankton, the Omaha, the Ho-Chunk, and the Iowa. The Iowa are the original people of this land, but they were moved over to what is known today as Oklahoma. They were definitely displaced. It wasn't their choice, but we have to honor those people because there was genocide from many of these nations that occurred on these lands, and we must honor and respect for the people who the state was named after. So I want to acknowledge that today, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Trisha, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure.
Where are you from, and where did you grow up, and what nations do you belong to?
I am enrolled with the Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska, so the Ho-Chunk Nation, and I actually grew up in Waterloo, Iowa. I was adopted when I was younger, so I basically grew up in kind of like a Catholic school schooling system. And once I got older, I started asking questions about about my parents, and then, where did I come from? And so it led me back to Sioux City, Iowa, and obviously the Winnebago Tribe of Nebraska, the reservation. So, yes.
What was your experience going to UNI as a Native person?
Yeah, so like I had mentioned, I grew up in the Catholic schooling system, and being young, I just didn't know the cultural aspect of being Native American. And I actually went to Columbus High School in Waterloo, Iowa. And now that I look back on it, it's very ironic because Columbus obviously symbolizes a lot of traumatic triggering, it's very traumatic to think about that, to know the history of my people. So as I got older, I came back and I started learning about our history, just kind of everything that entailed that. However, I ended up going back to Waterloo. I decided, to work for a very long time. I was a single mom. And then I had made the decision to go to University of Northern Iowa. That in itself was very, very challenging. Being a single mom, I had my oldest who was also special needs. He was blind, or he is blind. He is blind. And then I had another little one, and it was very challenging. But I do want to give a shout out to the TRIO program because of the fact that I did utilize those services. Growing up, we did have Upward Bound. I didn't participate in that necessarily, but it was obviously it was placed in our faces so that we could utilize the resources. So going to UNI was it was quite an experience. I definitely I learned a lot. I mean, obviously, I got a degree. And, like, as far as like the life experiences, there was one point where I was almost homeless, pregnant, with my third child, and it was very hard. So, and around that time, it was like the Standing Rock movement. They were fighting Dakota Access Pipeline in North Dakota. So I was trying to go back and forth from there, and being pregnant, I didn't have a car. I was just subjected to a lot of challenges that a lot of our Indigenous populations go through. And I'm very thankful that UNI was there to help me, though, and secure, shelter, food, whatever it was. They just, I mean, there was times where I almost dropped out twice, because I was just going through some really bad relationships, very abusive, whether it was emotional or physical, financial. But you and I had mental health, like counselors and people that I could actually go to talk about these things. And I stayed, enrolled, at UNI. However, I just remember this one moment where I was pretty much ready to just withdraw from every class that I was, currently going to. And it took I'm not sure what, I know her name, Jan Cornelius. She is the psych, I'm not sure what exactly her title was, but she was the one that had to literally sign me off to say, okay, you can withdraw and, whatever. I just remember, I'm bawling my eyes out, and, I told her, I can't do this anymore. Life is so hard. And she said, look, I want you to go talk to somebody. I want you to go see a counselor. And if you feel after that, you still want to drop out, then I'll sign this for you. And I really thank her, because I utilized that service there. And it's very important to have services like that, because I was literally about to just throw away everything that I had worked so hard for at that point. So more or less of the story, I graduate. The last class that I had, she obviously had to like sign off and say, yep, you did all your stuff and your requirements. And I came back and I said, do you remember who I am? She's like, yes, I do. So we had this, the cheesy moment where you just start crying, and, I just thanked her, and, then I graduated, and then I moved back here. And yeah, I'm just encouraging everyone else, who may be going through hard times, or, especially in Sioux City. Sioux City is very unique. We are such a diverse community. We have Latinx, we have immigrant communities, we have the urban Native population. So it's very diverse, but I encourage everybody to, if they're going to school, to stick it out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you did. If your story shares anything, is that it's a story of resilience. You know what I mean? And
yep.
I mean, there are obviously a bunch of barriers, that were put in place institutionally against you, but you really persevered and pushed through. And I love that you still followed your passions of like going to Standing Rock and being a part of your community. And I love that you had that mentor almost, that person that kind of pushed you.
Right, for sure.
So what did you study at UNI, and why did you decide to study that?
I went into psychology. I initially went in for social work, but I took Dr. Butler's class, Intro to Psychology, and I really liked it. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go into this. So obviously got my BA in psychology, but the number one thing, my minor is in mental health. So I feel like a lot of our barriers and our struggles are all mental. I mean, not all of them are mental, but you have to go there mentally to break through those barriers. You have to be strong, you have to be resilient. And, that's one of the things that we are for Natives. We're just inherently, we just have that in us. It's in our bloodlines. And so yeah, I took psychology with an interest to come back to my homelands to help people out in that capacity. However, it's still not, where I want it to be. I still want to continue my education. I interviewed with Rosencrantz. They were used to be called Jackson Recovery, but now they're Rosencrantz. And once again, I don't have a driver's license. So I had everything, I have everything, the credentials, the experience. I'm Native. I can identify with those. But it's things like that, such as, most Natives don't have a driver's license. So here I am sitting here once again, and I have all these, all these wonderful things, but it's things like that that kind of, put a damper on things. But however, it's not going to be forever that I don't have my driver's license. So I have been waiting patiently, and I should have it back in March. And hopefully I can still pursue, staying in the field that I had worked so hard to accomplish. And that's what my goal is to work with the Native community, the Latinx, and the immigrant communities.
No, that's such noble work, and I love that trajectory. And I think what you said is what I preach to my students: it's growth mindset, right? That grit, that resilience, and that is in your bloodline, as a people. And I love that you said that, because I think it's true. And that, I mean, even though you're not in psychology, you're still using a lot of the resources or knowledge and skills that you learned throughout your bachelor years, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure.
Can you tell us about what you do right now with the Great Plains Action Society, and kind of how your major has helped you in your job right now?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many things, as far as like even just going to college in general, you have to be accountable. You have to show up on time. You have to tell, or you don't have to tell, but you have to show people that you're very dedicated and you're a hard worker. So just that in general shows, or, utilize those skills, those, I don't know if they're called interpersonal skills, or, how you would term that, but I mean, going to college taught me to be punctual and to be accountable for your actions. So I am the director of operations for Great Plains Action Society. I helped build this platform up. We stemmed out of Standing Rock. The founder, Christine Nobis, basically had built this from ground up, stemming from the Little Creek Camp resistance camp in Iowa, in opposition of Dakota Access Pipeline. So throughout the whole time that I'm going to college, like, she's been a very influential person for me to kind of see, but she has always stressed, like, you have to go to school, like, you have to focus on this. We do articles now, we do blogs, the writing skills, that definitely has helped, she's helped me, write too. She's a graduate student of University of Iowa. So like that helped me out. You have to be able to be comfortable to go up to other people as well. So like instructors, like you have to go up and say, hey, like, why did I get this grade? Or like, why this or why that? What can I do to improve? And things like that. I do kind of low key suffer from social anxiety. So it's hard for me to go up to someone and tell them, hey, like, like, what did I do? Or what can I do to improve? It takes a lot out of me to do that. But because of the fact that I've been in college, I find it easier to do that now. And then obviously just networking is a huge thing too. Some of my classmates that I've gone to college to at UNI, we now have made connections because we're all trying to do something for the Waterloo, Cedar Falls community, the Sioux City area, and in general, just the state of Iowa. And all of them have been, big activists and, game changers. So college, it can be, you have to make good choices when you're in college, because you can either have a really great experience or you could really have a bad experience with it. And it has to come straight right out the gate to set yourself up for success. I waited until I was older because of the fact that, I have gone to colleges before and I just didn't, it wasn't just in me to do it. And that kind of hurt me financially too, as well. So this time around, I was in the mindset where I was like, okay, you're a single mom, you have kids, you have to show them, that you can do it. You got to just, lace your bootstraps up and, you just got to do it. And college has taught me a lot. Obviously being a director of operations, like you have to be punctual. You're going to be talking to community leaders. People are going to look up to you. So, if you're looking for that kind of work, then yes, college can definitely teach you all those skills. But like I said, it's all up to you. It's purely choice, or merely choice. So basically, like if you're about it, then you need to make sure that you're punctual, get your homework on time, ask questions, use the resources. That is the huge thing too. Use the resources. If you don't understand it, go find a tutor. Go figure it out right away. It'll help you out in the long run.
Yeah, no, and I think the resources are the most important thing, because you're not supposed to do college by yourself. And
Oh gosh,
like your story earlier, you know what I mean? She was the one that kind of helped you and like pushed you to persevere, and
Yep.
I think, you're such a big advocate now for your community and a lot of communities across Iowa, and you have that energy to advocate for others too. And I think that comes with that started with advocating for yourself about
Right.
the certain grade with a professor, right?
Yes.
And honestly, you were here a couple of weeks ago, and you were very great at interacting with people and so motivated
Yeah.
to speak with. So
it took a while to get to that point, though.
yeah, and these are a bunch of transferable skills that are critical for any position that you have. And you obviously have so many of those from your degree, and you still want to even continue pursuing education and working within that field as well, which is really great.
Yep.
And I guess to kind of wrap up this conversation, I have one final question, and it's if you have one, I guess, advice you'd like to leave with future Native college students, what is one piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say, don't give up. Be resilient. It's in our bloodline. It's inherent. And the number one thing is just to stick it out. College is, like I said, you can make it a good experience or you can make it a bad experience. But if you make it a good experience, trust me, you'll get to touch the world. You'll get to touch the earth, basically. There's different opportunities that I've experienced, and I've met a lot of amazing people along the way, and I'm still continuing to meet a lot of people, amazing people along the way. So utilize it. If you're going through a hard time, maybe college is something that you can do, and it'll help you get to the next level of your life that you want to be at. Mm-hmm. That'd be my advice.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think opportunity is just beyond us, right? If we take advantage of those opportunities, we're going to help each other grow.
Yes,
and I say that as a Latinx member for my Latinx folk. So thank you for meeting with me, Trisha. I really appreciate all of your wisdom that you shared with my students. And I look forward to hopefully working with you again.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the shirt.
Yes, for sure. I love it.
Thank you, Trisha.
Thank you so much. Yep.